Kenja Chamber Zodan Humi Jang, Monum Jambor, Nagyada, Dagger Zando Shermot, Tomba to Jan Laki Shamzar, General Zerni Jankamsa, Jawar to Jishan of Yelan, Jimmy Penzo Jan Lansorand, Gunja Toban Pora Shinji Lo. Today, we will discuss the Nectar Stream of Healing, written by Mepham Rinpoche. But before we continue, there is something important that we need to discuss first. I will make sure to transmit the instructions for the ritual of unbinding to each and every one of you so that everyone is informed and able to participate in the ritual together. Recently here at Larungar, it has been requested everyone now recite the unbinding mantra, complete 10,000 in 4 days. If that's really not possible, then at least try to finish 10,000 recitations as soon as you can. Unbinding mantra. Back in 1998, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok also transmitted and recited it. Later, specifically in the year 2001, during that particular period, the same recitation took place once again. At that time, the act of reciting was repeated, occurring around the same time frame as before. We recited the unbinding mantra last year and previous years. I translated unbinding mantra. Since that was long ago, the translation may not have been ideal. So over the past few days, I have retranslated it once again. You should be able to receive the new translation in the next day or two. The requirements on our side lately, between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone practices together for 1 hour. This so-called group practice is also, it might mean, for example, listening to the radio and reciting together at that particular time of day. You can recite at home. The main thing is, what really matters is today and tomorrow, 15th Tibetan calendar day. The group practice session might be a bit longer than usual. Why do we in fact practice the unbinding mantra? Because this is a practice of Manjushra Bodhisattva. It is a deep practice. Strictly speaking, this isn't something to be made public at will. Such a profound teaching. So this one was also transmitted by the wish-fulfilling jewel Jigme Phuntsok. As for this ritual text, it is also not a particularly public practice. Recently, as all the monastics here will recite it, I have not specifically required that it must not be made public at any point. So in this case, when the text is distributed to everyone in the next day or two, everyone should also be clear about what exactly it is. In other words, put simply, ultimately, whether our body and mind are bound by afflictive emotions or by evil spirits and heretical paths by humans, non-humans, whether worldly spirits and ghosts have already bound someone so they cannot practice properly and authentically. Through the power of this mantra, by relying on the divine and compassionate blessings of Manjushri Shishin Vajra, the restrictive bindings are immediately and effortlessly released. Just like, I remember this analogy. For example, you can think of it as being similar to a situation where a prisoner manages to break free and escape from a heavily guarded prison, desperately seeking freedom and doing whatever it takes to get away. Or horse, which has a hoblia strap used to limit its movement secured around its leg, suddenly managing to break free. The meaning is that by relying on this mantra, if part of our body or mind is controlled or bound by afflictions, all of it can be released. To be freed from bondage means to unlock the key instructions that bind us. Is the idea. So many people practicing in our degenerate age. Some are bound by afflictions, some are bound by people, some are bound by non-human beings, and some are constantly bound by all kinds of forces. Especially nowadays, some people's minds simply cannot be free. They are subjected to restraints in this degenerate age. This Dharma is truly extraordinary. Many of our Dharma friends have also been practicing for a long time. As for this ritual manual, it can be used as your daily practice or you can practice it every now and then. In any case, regarding this mantra, there's not much difference from what I translated. Giving this to everyone today, and in the coming days, you can also practice according to the ritual manual if you wish. If you don't know the ritual manual, just visualize more and pray to Manjushri Shishin Vajra, visualizing a red and yellow Manjushri, and then begin your prayers. Reciting in this way is also fine, really. Some of us, when visualizing the generation and completion stages, the power is rather weak. If you fully recite this mantra, power of mantra is inconceivable. So next, let's see, today I will give everyone a transmission of the ritual manual.
Sidayan Dratang Zanjir Goni, Shachta Sor, Goksum Jamam, Tatak Jordan Dopi, Japsum Sadmir Gunda, Tala Soba Shadam Soba Shada. Give young la Tumbangan, Le Rangam Danda, Rumboche Nazo Jiro, Lan Chaksan Tana Duber, Duper, Seymour, Pamakarmodama, Tumdanji Kesarla, David Tinguria, Danji Tanda Sound, Monster Legun, Tro, Babam Chodo, Samchinji, Tonjits, and the Sound Mona Tambago, Javayons, Tiralet, Kajik, the Nojabatamji, Ishijirka, Banjahro, Dorji, and Chosen of Dorjirka, Do, Master Kurkumojon, named Danjan Yamashi. Zubjidam Barava Jarchi Shoni, Joni Zigim Sandan, Jim Ziba, Reserve Nadan, Danjan Hama Turto Chava Torsi, Jirsemurum Bojeto, Danyanko, Orjoni Bianba, Tare, Mao Yodan, Tarki, Laco, So, Tarnorum, Bojet, and Amjiki Chiba, Chodum Zijan Zambi Jarjan, Chojitivan Sobatam, Jiki was the Rola, baby. Chayem Chojinji shall get more thunder, young ba, young being Devchenji. Over whom we are at a girl's own, the Matnangita, the Kashi, on a Santi Damji, Ishi, Chembo, Dorje, Wooden Barin, Tambajan, Dorje, Mongo, Jean Rangerkele, Shongo Gozergita, Ishi, Jimmy, Jerab, the Barwin, Jibatan, Kondo, Pinchon, Vision, the Sorum, the Bidoni, Chandel, Sari, Tara, Onkar, Womramba, Amarbo. Took her home, Bim Sambale, wooden Trobe, Santi Damji, Egyptian, the Malib, Dini Gerson, Dorje, Corzon, to give, Danya to Shinji, Lava, Nelson gives sound down to Roman Legut, Zerum Tribute, Jojitism, Jaratin, Jabatam, Jar, Tambajin, Bim, Dorje, number, Banzer Samayan, Egyptian, John, Zahon, Vamon, Jibidam to Badanism, Clarion, to Gozergi, Sanjetam Jiring in Cordon, Jebashan, Ternamji, there's the one Kugan, Jiloma. Le Berry give the Bodo Monsieur Barso, Jerry Rogan, Wangala, Namjantela, and Bemden, Pama Bonda Mamma, maybe. Kuriki, who is two Marcel, Jim Chang, young Gordon Corale, was a Hodameba. Kajib them from Babadam Jiji, Nibim Chobamber, to them Jiruker, Simpson Tamji, Jubatajan, Jaro Dorje, Comanto, Comala Koto was it, and sound Monadam. Was someone Ramjandam Bala, Tumbo, Tamja, Eugene, and the Brusanda, Umanishan Barada Madram, Umanishan Barada Madram, Zajir, Egypt. Egypt, Jenny, the Bichon Pound, the Omuba Mayan, Jenny Bernard Jawa, Tumdrum. Choba Jim Jorasham, Shinji, Love the Nazoji, Nazoji, Burwa Gamma, Nazoji, Burwa Gamma, the Namus Jordan, Janam, the Kondozombola, and Jardin, Kanam, the Jajo, Chinosam, Choberjam, Zum, Jero, Anna, Rana, Banzer, Sarah Banza, Manga, Rasamaja, Sabarana, and Manga Gana. Kahon Pada Suhaji, Juna Mandarin Berla, Jumjum Jim Cho, Jambayan, Toboche, Hoa Jimboche Jobam, the Mother Tottenham Zalaji Zodito Neron, Yeda Kondo Bim, Jom, near the Sura of Nachendo Bitamba, Nibber Suringer, Jambazam, you did not watch number, Yervim too. Top John, Tar, Give, Laname Bishan, the Dobrangero, and the John Chediana, and Dorano, Santiganji, Jirka, and Jawon Jojela, Jenseni Bam Jongave. When you took them Jimbo, Jen of Dodomushan, Donamji, Marinato, Lenin Bab, Shed on Nun, and Serge, Madame Maman Jean, Ye, Shed them Chidam Jawadan, Janon San Curtin, John Nanda, Masson, Shed on Karang and Bichon. Zhengni wakchuk jeba nama rangzhan namdak chujiya yang zhangzhul mebi ngangnya da dartanya da zhoram zodo shenjib shanchur nyambo wara lamchuk jiji shanam ji mamdan chonam kengi jangnam jingmek durjir top top zodo ji nyangnek sora da lamdan ji le tik chok nyamzhandam jebi wazir karo to Tokpa me bab dir zirang zhin jang huagda me bab zhong de dag dang mung shi li la tanbe zirib tok me jib zhiban tadak zhiba dang tam tsing nyam chak zhibda mak sang la na dun war chadab shir dang karar ngam bi kyun tam chad dang kyabar dang mam dang mam jib shadab chik zhar koksum chang zhang namba gam chi ba tam zhin nyan agza dang char war tar dar ka jik chor de li shirun dang ishi jib dir zir tem gang jagur dor jib shun lam tadak rang kar jil la jing ne lan chad ono ba gangi gyam zik virang zhin jan da gyaror san la zar ngak dang Zhangzhur ji ngak zab mo zhir de jini zab dabar sha man shen bara da madar mam so man shen bara dam zo taran taraya mo zan zam baran de so jir ta ma shun go var de la shar ter ta ngu s li yang wa dang rik bak sar wa dang nyam de wa da hwa wa so manam da chang zhur ra dang nyam yang ne le tar wa dang jali ger wa dang chi shi ba dang nam lang wa dang nyar da shar wa da tar shar wa dang tong ba ba la so ba ge na zum jong ren gyoro ter jonel gosum gi mam tam bi chok de gyoro na don var chi tra me shi ba tham chelle tar de shin de jang kara da khwar zong bur ger jang sam ban rabi yon da na khod me ba to bran gyoro dar tum chof tu so da ne har ten dam je ba go de general la tam be ji shin gi la bar sam ber ji sa tar jog mu bing da nyam bra mu bing da nyam bra jala gi hu jang shi ba jo bra sha go Tara na so zhangzhur ji ngam de ja khor khwa chig jib ji le song ba zhangzhur ji ngam tam chi ji der bor ten de lan dun chig zang ma dun digsum de tor na chang tam chi le zhoren yer gergum mam go wang ngak chi ne gong gong go la ta na ti nye de chang wa kan le zhor lo ke gong pong bar ta na jig ba tam chi le zhong war yer lan dun ngak bi chen dong nam ngar kim ba so server she de lan dun ngak bi Termir kiwi gur kinab jumab devrab zarvar ger taqdavlenab jambi rig tamchid le rab ta chorun geroji sonzo dinab jambi rig tamchid lao mubana kone vlavadan vamba chuzan gar chivilig Lafke terkili darsir gin vabrab sama jang debi chundong jang chishibadan shemagam sakzangmagam yonkar soglable depsa Zongwa napa soglap chapa tang shakta yopi ne saktorwa gama chongsha lar ngak chide daba chongka la ngak sham daba tang dugba la ngak ne dugba tang kargam dang ma shi jo la chide le de shaba sogjir gone nak do war se karang amba sha tong sogji jamba tam je chori le ramjim jeron jero sha dang tong di zimba la shakta tam je chatte shakta tam Chate Trapchi Ji Bem Chardo Choran Gero Kongur Koksam Jangwa De La Nima Chenji Jabartar the Ron Me Jam Devi Kurkum Mum Jangwa Tamchin Do Shinap Zon Chakjuk Tsapa Gam Tapo Juk Tsapa Le Chorav Jenda Dema Tag Devi O Nepazum Zobam Jongran Gervi Shir Shenda Karchego Gate Gingi Nyamlenda Dagnim Chojong Dorje Gumbar Do narton bangang le rambo che na zo so dang ran ni ka ji ge de jang ba so dang ran ga te gar pa ma kar bo khab gira ma to jan ra go lag ba lan da la te ni te zum me ber le na zo ju ma ngun ji li ji gong go li la kyun chag ba dang sim le sim marung wa da ding che wa dang ton nyam ba shir dang ka ra ngam ba sur marung wa ta kyang ni ber de je ni ka ra zong bu chen da lam nyong she nam char kin ngam ba je mu che go de tsir jin jim ni man ba jong zi kyang yo ba ma yin be chir ton do bi ton la Sur tab jan amugba mayan var sarng gleba majiki yang kantar amugbe len jaba ton mazawo di shirde tabndo na yujin nor tar chipchi jin chang shiba yende lagdab lanwe yichi bren geronda na rala guba chabrjan shon te lagba la surab tabne te rabse shamju gerdi yartse ger trashi chuglang richu demchuk pupjanda mapam jahur durji jarwa gelgam per chak warche de tengir 근래 조르 각스름 창조 깽은 근래 타르 jamnan xtatang chungn dikyun ji gud jar karzon jigmedel dechen tob namkan jarte kungn changwa medog dorjen jarte sigyang tsigman ge noran jarte khwargi wozir bar babman jarte kyun jar yigung ger samaya mangalam tserang kangsam dotum tarjin jang gartin kung mutsik chuksun ger dot tondang sonam badmel thangi chan jagur wozir nyala jigir ji shangzir dar nga bi tse nirdun la mapambe.
Oh, yeah. Everything has been thoroughly transmitted today. All of it has been sent out as of now. Do the venerable elders feel anything? It's too serious. Maybe, I suppose our classes won't be as lively or energetic as they used to be in the future going forward. Welcome everyone to today's class session where we will be learning, and basically let me tell you about this method. Tomorrow and the day after we'll continue with the Nectar stream of healing, and after that, today is Tuesday, right? Just making sure. On Friday and Saturday we should cover the Shurangama Sutra. Then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll cover the wish-fulfilling treasury treatise. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, study Shurangama Sutra. In the future, at least for now, the first 3 days of the week will be for the wish-fulfilling treasury treatises. 3 days Shurangama Sutra. That's roughly how things are in general organized and arranged. This is more or less the structure of our entire course. We've also explained to everyone that this course cannot be shared online for any reason, and it's not really convenient to share it by other means either. It's limited only to our little valley here. Everyone understands this point as well. It's not that we don't want to benefit sentient beings, nor we don't want more to know. But for reasons, if we spread this too widely, as you all know, given the current religious policies and also the particular circumstances in our valley, which are very clear to everyone, if we let our compassion extend too broadly in this way to others, perhaps we ourselves would truly have no place to settle. This is also something we have to consider for the long term. So for Dharma friends outside, for now, we hope they can make use of the many valuable teachings that have already been given in the past. If they can study those previous teachings well, I think that should be more than sufficient. This year, this is how we arrange things for the first half. This is a preliminary plan, because what might happen in the meantime, whether there will be changes or if we can see it through to the end, they're hard to predict. Right now, as everyone knows, things may be completely different from before. There are still certain obstacles and adverse conditions in many respects. Inside and outside, it's this. No matter what happens, even if we can only give one class, for example, or even 2 classes, everyone should have a sense of cherishing it. This is very important. If there's such a sense of cherishing, we should also have the courage to study the Dharma in this way. Everyone should also ideally be as mentally well prepared for this as possible. During the teaching of Nectar of Healing, we simply did not have oral exams. For the next time, and then after that, from the Shurangama Sutra, we will have oral exams. But the people participating in the oral exams will be seated around the area. When the time comes and someone is actually selected, then they can come up. Before that, for now, this year we are mainly having the dedicated, respected and experienced elder practitioners as the participants in the 3rd ring group who will be taking part this year, and another group is from the 2nd ring group, groups from 3rd to 5th rings. This is the model that we are currently using right now. In this way, it's actually very good because for many years we have mainly focused on study and contemplation and haven't paid enough attention. These days, the older they get, the more valuable they become. They feel very proud and deeply satisfied to have reached the age of over 60 years. For now, whether you're a manager or someone else, I hope everyone can cooperate with this arrangement. when it comes to seniors, we wish to help them, how care for them. If within our entire community we let them become marginalized, I'm afraid that's not very good either. So this year, on one hand, I myself have also reached a different stage in life, turning point, so it represents a certain phenomenon. Secondly, then here at Larong, many people back when they were young, they came here, and now they have all become rather dignified individuals, truly. Generally, when you go to a monastery, older monastics, sometimes when I visit some Tibetan Buddhist monasteries, if I see the monastery has young people, it doesn't leave much impression. All seem, especially in some monasteries where there are some old lamas, they're chubby and look like, oh, they definitely seem very accomplished in their practice. It really gives off that kind of feeling. So for a monastery, in general, older spiritual teachers or doctors are more valued. There's a saying, so perhaps it's the same kind of feeling with practitioners as well. I won't. Next, we'll begin discussing the Nectar stream of healing. This teaching given by Mifam Rinpoche, the renowned Tibetan master, why translate it? Why do we need to discuss it? Most of us who are gathered here today are probably, for the most part, quite healthy. But in reality, no matter how much we might hope to avoid it, the truth is that in this world we live in, illness is something that is everyone, all of you, within the ongoing cycle of birth and death. Birth, aging, sickness, death. This is simply an inevitable phenomenon. In this case, each of us may have perhaps at some point often been ill in the past, temporarily healthy. Now, unfortunately, we may still often become unwell or fall ill. Some are sub-healthy. In any case, illness is something that everyone must face at some point in their lives, something we must deal with. So when we get sick, what kind of practice should we engage in? In fact, here, Mifam Rinpoche has a cure regarding the words healing illness. I use them here for clarity. Actually, it's a practice that transforms illness into part of the path. It doesn't mean that if we have a headache, we immediately cure the headache, have stomachache, treat. That's not what it means. The main root of illness is actually indeed the sickness of the mind. This mental sickness, it can also be healed through spiritual practice. Healed mind sickness, then physical illnesses are much easier to deal with. So the so-called Nectar stream of healing illnesses here, I want everyone to study hard this time. The text is not long, and using 3 class sessions to cover it should in most cases be enough, but its meaning is quite simply truly extraordinary. Why do I say it's extraordinary? Because when we get sick, everyone probably wants to find a cure, but when it comes to healing, people use wrong methods, can't cure the illness. In some cases they might even potentially make it even worse. That's a real possibility. Relying on such spiritual practice, when we get sick, not only do we not suffer, we might even develop a sense of joy. If we approach it this way, then our illness will heal gradually and steadily in a relatively short period of time. Even if it doesn't heal, the illness won't get worse, and it won't have a major impact or cause harm to you. So this approach is very important. Now, when each of us gets sick, what kind of method should we use to address it? We should see a Chinese medicine doctor, a Western or Tibetan, or use any other kind of medical treatment. This is also necessary, but what is most fundamental, even just a small adjustment in mentality can make a difference. If we adjust our mindset, then even if the illness is actually very serious, It won't cause significant harm to your overall life. It won't have a major impact. Why do I say this? Because our hearts can be turned to the Tao. Mind, turn, illness, spiritual practice, the heart is strong with a strong mind. Then the physical illness, this should not cause you that much harm in terms of impact or consequences. So how do we adjust our mindset in this situation? Without the Dharma, it's almost certainly really impossible to make this adjustment. Of course, nowadays there are all kinds of wellness and health theories on the market, and there are many different claims about treating various illnesses. To some extent, we do not deny these either. But fundamentally, actually, for everyone, as we know, the Dhamma can transform even the greatest suffering into a path. Everyone should probably really have at least some sense of this, right? Honestly, it just seems obvious, including the major disasters in our world. Like during the Yushu earthquake in the past, when many people died and many were injured, at that time, many experts from all over the country came, including some counselors. But later on, it seemed that there wasn't much need to adjust their mindset. Why is that? Actually, in Tibetan regions, there has always been the Dharma. If there were no Dharma in our lives, then people in Tibetan regions would be in every way exactly the same as people elsewhere, because as everyone knows, the medical conditions, they are not very good. Scientific and technological development is not advanced. On top of that, whether it's the overall climate conditions or the general atmosphere, the resources in all aspects are not so abundant. If there were no good way to adjust psychologically, then when facing difficulties or disasters, would be possible for people to break down or even collapse as such phenomena could occur. But for most people, they have had a way to adjust their mindset since childhood. What is the only way they adjust psychologically? One is a deep belief in karma. Whenever we get sick for any reason or circumstance, this is karma from a past life. It's a very simple language, but in reality, this is something very important for spiritual practice. For example, if I just get sick today, after exam in hospital, they find a malignant tumor somewhere, it might already be cancer. Or maybe I have contracted COVID-19 now, or have AIDS, cancer, and so on. At times like this, for most people, receiving this critical illness notice or get this kind of test result, they might immediately collapse to the ground and lose consciousness, fainting. This does happen. But generally speaking, we have practiced in advance and everything is karma. If all is karma, then even though I haven't done anything harmful to others in this life from beginningless time or not remembered, I have done many things that broke the Dharma, including killing sentient beings, beating others, and so on. These are the sole causes and conditions for falling ill. If I caused this before, then why shouldn't they ripen on me in this very life? In this way, each of us, in particular, when we fall ill, we should, in general, be more willing to calmly and openly accept it. Willingly accepting it. We all know that no one likes to be sick. When we get sick, we think, what should I do? I've caught a cold. I'm not feeling well today. Will I actually collapse right now? Everyone tends to feel upset. But if we have even a bit of spiritual practice, if we don't have practice, anyone, no matter your status, whether monastics or lay people, whether khenpos or khenmos, whether Dharma teachers or acharyas, no matter who you are, it doesn't make any difference. But if you have some spiritual practice, exchanging self and others, or the practice of deep faith in karma and its effects, impermanence of death, if you practice these, then at the moment of falling ill, not only will you not feel sad, but you will immediately want to transform this illness into a part of your path, using it as aid to practice in this way. This illness originally, as we all know, after falling ill, no one likes it. But for certain practitioners, they should use this illness as a very good supportive condition for practice. Just like poison in our world. No one wants to drink it. Everyone is very afraid of it. But when you encounter certain other things, including silver water, when there are such ingredients, then it can also quite simply be consumed. So we think that illness is in many ways just like suffering, something that none of us really likes at all. None of us like suffering, right? Make suffering happiness path. A couple of years ago, at the very beginning, I also talked to everyone. Most people probably felt that it was somewhat useful. I hope that everyone here today will listen to it again this year and study it again. It's not enough to listen once. You must practice it. It must take root in your heart. Any Dharma you practice should penetrate your heart. The 3 classes we've been teaching everyone these past few days, if you learn them well enough, I think the pith instructions from Mipham Rinpoche, in the future, when you fall ill, you will feel confident and prepared. While translating, I already knew that this nectar stream of healing was excellent, but I didn't have such a deep feeling about it, because when translating, I had to analyze it thoroughly. So it was like that day, Feb translated. While translating, I thought, oh, how great it would be if I got sick. It would be better for me to be sick. Not only would I not worry, I would actually enjoy being sick in my heart. After finishing translating, got sick. But when I was actually sick, it wasn't quite as I had imagined before. If you can't eat or sleep, it's hard. There wasn't much spiritual attainment, a little. But overall, ill before learning and getting sick after learning this teaching, there is a significant, big difference. So I think these 3 lessons of ours, if we put it simply, are very straightforward. Basically, each lesson can be finished in just over an hour. If we go deeper, lengthen, there may be many hidden key points within, but ultimately it's all very simple. It's about viewing illness as meritorious. This is the topic we're discussing. Normally we wouldn't consider it to be meritorious, but today we must say it is virtuous. Then in the second lesson, seeing illness as valuable knowledge, as my dear best guru, the guru comes to guide you and give you teachings. Many of us, like our gurus, I want to go find my guru, I want to go find a living Buddha, but it's for guidance. Otherwise, it's just another human body. What is there to follow? There's nothing to it. The main thing is that in their mind stream, there's a wisdom that can guide you. Illness is the same way in this regard. A truly good guru and a good illness are the same third. When you are ill, you can naturally practice the 6 paramitas. In this way, we truly, genuinely, when we are sick, it's as if we've met our guru. On the other hand, it should be noted that there is also great merit, and you can practice the core of the Mahayana 6 paramitas. Who wouldn't be happy about that? So in this short teaching on these pith instructions for each of us, when you fall ill at some point, you shouldn't be afraid, suffer, or feel sad. On the contrary, wow, this is truly an opportunity. Recall the 3 pith instructions Mipham Rinpoche taught. First, illness has merit. It is not a fault. Why do we say this? Illness has merit. Most of us probably think, how could illness have any merit? It doesn't. It destroys my body and mind. How could there be any merit in that? But in reality, as a matter of fact, everything in this world truly has 2 sides. If we see life from a slightly higher perspective, or if we analyze it more deeply, then actually for a practitioner, illness should have many, many benefits. In our usual daily lives, teachings we cannot cultivate can only truly be developed after we fall ill. Some of our Dharma friends here used to be very arrogant, arrogant before pain, if not encountered suffering. They never found the Dhamma, never met teacher, and never found the right path. But later on, because of illness, due to facing obstacles or conditions, in the end, they came to deeply realize the true nature of life. Ultimately, they themselves also encountered the path to liberation. Adverse conditions, in fact, also have a virtuous side. For example, any negative thing such as an unpleasant event or a situation that causes discomfort or unhappiness can affect how we feel. If met by a wise person and they see its true nature, then it can be helpful to you. For instance, if there is an enemy, someone who resents you and even attempts to harm you, none of us really likes this kind of enemy, right? But if you rely on this enemy to immediately practice the paramitas and realize all relationships, impermanence, friendly or hostile, then for your practice, even if you have never attained enlightenment before, you may already become enlightened. In our 7 points of mind training, the Bhikshuni Huamo, who was well known, suffered from leprosy, and through practicing with this, she eventually attained enlightenment. Of course, the premise is that we need to have faith for this to be correct. We need spiritual practice for this to be right. Otherwise, if you have no spiritual practice and no faith at all, then falling ill brings you no merit whatsoever. This is something everyone should be clear about. So what exactly are we going to be talking about today in this particular discussion? The nectar stream of healing. The word healing here means the process of purification as well as cleansing. Because when it comes to healing, everyone probably thinks if their own illness could be cured, that would be the best. So in general, the name should be quite easy for most people to understand. It refers to the nectar stream curing all kinds of illnesses. Nectar stream means the nectar of gods, an effective medicine. For example, even on the battlefield, if a celestial being's head is cut off, one celestial nectar is applied. They can recover. Such stories exist in our world, so-called nectar pills and nectar water. These are all very useful. Mantra water, reciting mantras, including the unbinding mantra we discussed today. Recite it 7 times, recite mantras, then gently blow into the water, just like this. And after blowing, drink this water. When you get up in the morning, I remember reading in the biography of Akyug Rinpoche or somewhere, he would often drink a little mantra water himself every single morning, in a bottle. If the water has been blessed by monks, lamas, or someone, or if you happen to have some nectar pills available, you can simply soak them in it. Just let them absorb the liquid for a bit. Drink it whether sick or not. It is indeed very effective. As many people have found, some friends don't know how to use nectar and just wear it around their neck all the time. But you can eat a bit of it or soak in water and drink yourself. In this way, even for some physical illnesses in particular, these are all very effective. So, according to common worldly understanding, nectar is also very important. Many spiritual practitioners in Tibetan region may keep lots of nectar in their gao boxes. When you encounter a truly critical moment, you take it out and start to eat or drink it. In this way, for some acute illnesses, such as the flu or a cold, it is extremely powerful. So although these things may seem quite simple, in reality, they all possess a certain power. This is mentioned in Mipham Rinpoche's biography. The Vajra cores made by Mipham Rinpoche. It seems that during a fierce battle between Derj and Golok, during the fighting, the intricately crafted Vajra knots personally made by Mipham Rinpoche, everyone who wore them remained completely unharmed. Their bodies suffered no injuries at all. These can serve as protective amulets. Accomplished masters, indeed, whether it is truly blessed nectar water or things blessed by Mipham Rinpoche in the past, including sweat or stains from his body, if these items or treatments were to be properly used by people who are suffering from illness, then all of those sick individuals would be able to fully recover and regain their health. I heard Ji Gong, the monk, was similar, though whether this is in his actual, but it's said that the mud pellets from his body after being eaten would cure illnesses, or even the water he bathed in drinking it would also dispel sickness. There are such things. In any case, there are some miraculous events. These should indeed exist. Mipham Rinpoche biography. I actually translated it back in 2000, written by Dharma King, the wish-fulfilling Jewel. Mipham Rinpoche's stories, including some principles and stories not found in other biographies. When Mipham Rinpoche shared, Mipham Rinpoche may have possessed his own blessings, these special qualities, incredible and aspects. Moreover, Mipham Rinpoche was extremely proficient in medicine. So his medical wisdom and experience is passed down today. It is also being practiced in various Tibetan hospitals. Therefore, from medical perspective and from the perspective of Buddhist faith, this pith instruction is equivalent to a nectar-like elixir. After you slowly and carefully drink this sweet nectar, just take a moment. Such illnesses can also be dispelled. So what does this mean? Mipham Rinpoche's pith instruction is a nectar-like nectar. If any of us, as later students, go and study it and truly master and practice it well in the future, if we fall ill, we can easily cure ourselves. That is the fundamental principle here. And that is what matters most in this. Now, because this illness, as we all know, is indeed for the world. Now, perhaps everyone is very aware of this. For example, the war between Ukraine and Russia, it really seems as if the era of truly apocalyptic wars has already arrived. Therefore, things like global oil prices and food supplies, famine crisis is emerging. And then the COVID-19 virus has relentlessly tormented humanity for more than 2 long years now, which is also extremely frightening. It seems recently, although the world had more than 7 billion people, among them, the number of people who have been infected now is about 498 million. Well, I think infected cases will reach 500 million. 500 million? That means out of every 70 individuals, roughly 5 have already been infected. Deaths pass 6 million. At a time like this, we see this disease truly has been continuously spreading among the global human population. At this time, as practitioners, we cannot say that we are able to cure all illnesses completely. But at the very least, we ourselves are not so panicked. No matter whether it's an infectious disease like this or some other common illness such as a cold or the flu, you'll think, if I get sick, I get sick. Getting sick's fine. Now that the opportunity has come, if I want to apply what I've learned, maybe this is actually quite a good thing. Speaking for myself, over many years, whether it's battling illness or living with it, being this, but every single time I get sick, I can only really use it as an opportunity to carefully and thoughtfully observe, not spiritual practice, but I do some things relying on this illness. In fact, I am quite grateful for some of these illnesses. Otherwise, in this very life, including in my translation work, there might not have been certain opportunities. So if we truly, genuinely, and honestly face it for a moment, illness really isn't that frightening. Honestly, it's not what people think. Because of the illness, it seems that I just said it is something very rough and unpleasant. You could even say it's a terrifying thing. But if we look at both its positive and negative sides, for most people, when you get sick, it's scary and saddening. And at such times, When you find yourself overwhelmed or under pressure, your mind may begin to race and panic, filling you with anxious thoughts and making it difficult to think clearly, which in turn significantly accelerates the ongoing and gradual worsening of a variety of illnesses, which can lead to more serious health problems over time. But if our mind is calm and we recognize that this illness might actually be good for me, just like many experienced practitioners say, "Oh, I'm sick today." This is simply the manifestation of karma accumulated since beginningless time. They understand the source of the illness is not because of any particular reason that I came here. I just arrived quite recently. Some people might complain and blame others. Why am I feeling sick even though other people around me aren't? Everyone else is healthy. Why am I ill? Why am I so unlucky? Why is everything going so badly for me? Aren't I doing good deeds? Some people are actually very good practitioners themselves, but when they fall ill, they slander karma, causality, and the true dharma. They might even, on certain occasions, among their fellow professional practitioners, often make negative wishes and harbor anger. If that's the case, this disease is indeed for you. Harm significant. But if, when you get sick, on one hand, your mind stays calm and you don't get angry, get needed medical care, and sincerely repent. You think, oh, it's only natural that I'm not feeling well, because since beginningless time, I must have committed many negative deeds. Now, this negative karma has ripened on me. If I can cultivate an even better, stronger motivation, I can wish for the illnesses of other sentient beings to ripen on me as well. Just like Kyabje Jigdro in the preliminary practices. If are like their vows, then indeed illness in its own unique way truly becomes something valuable. Even after falling ill, your suffering has meaning. So I often think to myself, from time to time, if I hadn't gotten sick in 2002, if I hadn't illnesses like liver disease and spondylitis, not translated wide transmission Buddha. So I've always felt that my illness that year was meaningful. That's what I tell myself. I'm not just boasting either. Nor do I have any real ability to transform illness into the path through genuine practice. This is just something I'm aware of. It's nothing special. But sometimes the illness isn't as scary as we think. There's really nothing at all to be afraid of about being ill. We can calmly accept it. Calm acceptance doesn't necessarily mean saying, welcome, welcome. Oh, I have a headache today, welcome. Ouch, hurts. It's not like that. What we call acceptance, sometimes if we understand the principle, we naturally accept things as they are. It's not about wishing to get sick. I hope I get sick. I hope I get sick. We wouldn't dare do that. No need, right? But once you do actually fall ill, human body is impermanent. Today you might be healthy and doing great, but tomorrow you could come down with a serious illness and maybe not even be able to walk, or maybe you lose sight, hearing, or even your whole body. Today I heard about someone from the village who was fine before. A couple of days ago his spine had problems. He went to Sichuan Provincial Hospital for surgery, but it made things worse. Now, he might not make it a Tibetan man, so sometimes our lives can end extremely quickly, just like that, because our bodies are such incredibly fragile things. So when we get sick like this, how should we really face it? Each of us should be mentally prepared for this, right? Taking the time to get ready in our minds helps us. If mentally prepared, then our illness truly has value. Ultimately, the main point of today's lesson is everyone should know illness has merit. Being sick can be good. Just think this way, if you get sick, it's actually a good thing. This action is considered to bring merit, as it is recognized for its positive qualities and the value. I have a stomachache today. That's great. If someone has a headache, that's wonderful. Rejoice for everyone. In the future, whenever any of us get sick, whoever catches COVID, for example, whoever gets cancer or rejoice, rejoice. If we can reach this state of mind, then today's key teaching might be practiced well. Haven't started the talk. So now, let's begin. How to talk about it today, I already mentioned it earlier. The nectar stream that cures illness mainly refers to the special nectar that heals the sickness of the mind. This was composed by Mipham Rinpoche, as I mentioned earlier, homage to Guru, the medicine Buddha, the Tathagata. Mipham Rinpoche paying homage to the medicine Buddha, the king of lapis lazuli light. When we write a treatise, we honor the deity of the treatise. That is to say, Medicine King Tathagata. We often recite the Medicine Buddha Sutra as well as the Medicine Buddha mantra during our regular practice. Often regularly worship the statues of Medicine Buddha. In fact, hospitals should also regularly display images of the Medicine Buddha and recite Medicine Buddha. This is also very important, truly significant and worth remembering. As for the Medicine Buddha's original, whoever recites his name, whoever sees his image, whoever remembers him with sincerity, then many different types of illnesses and conditions will naturally simply be cured. So this is extremely important. We also regularly study the important and significant teachings and principles related to the Medicine Buddha. In this way, it is truly very meaningful for both body and mind, mentioned recently on World Health Day today. So now, whether it's Tibetan medicine, Western or Chinese medicine, both are important. I hope all aspire to this. And those who already have some ability in this area should also treat illnesses for the monastic community, as this truly brings even greater merit. In the past, Shakyamuni Buddha often went to help the sick. We all know. So this way, we too, if we have skills and abilities in this area, for example, if you have worked as a nurse, then here you can also help them and give rise to aspiration. If you have previously worked as a doctor before, in this context, it is essentially the same. Now, in all aspects, things are better than before. But sometimes for us, including some traditional Chinese medicine massages and physical therapies, actually, these are very effective Chinese prescription. For many people, this is extremely important. Even during this recent pandemic, some people, in fact, according to the majority of leading experts in their respective fields, it was found that Chinese medicine played a significant role, including our traditional Tibetan medicine as well and its remedies. It is also very powerful, but we won't discuss these today. I hope that those who aspire to work in the medical field will strengthen their resolve. Everyone has a responsibility for the health of the monastic community. Next, Mipham Rinpoche homage verse, the supreme remover of suffering, homage before the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, purifying the mire of illness, composing the nectar of wisdom. What is the most supreme when it comes to dispelling suffering? It is the peerless in this world. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, whether we recite the Buddha's name or offer prayers, they truly can heal both mental and physical illnesses of sentient beings. In fact, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are the most capable and the most powerful. In some Pure Land texts from the past, some recited Amitabha Buddha, and their illness cured. They also healed many other people's illnesses. Miraculous responses from the three jewels. People cured their own and others' illnesses by reciting sutras. In Tibetan Buddhism, there are many ritual masters whose study and contemplation may not be thorough, but when they often chant scriptures like this, many patients below them are also cured as well, in turn. Therefore, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas truly are, in this world especially, supreme guides for healing illnesses of sentient beings. That's why the Venerable One first pays homage, prostrating before such Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who possess unsurpassed abilities. This is the homage verse at the beginning. Next, he is going to purify, to gently and persistently purify and cleanse and heal the muddy pain of illness from within. For this reason, he composed the pith instruction treatise, the nectar stream of healing. Actually, to be honest, Longchenpa's treasury of wish-fulfilling jewels. There are also many methods of healing engaging in certain Buddhist practices such as meditation or chanting, including various behaviors, different activities, and a range of exercises can also heal the various and different types of illnesses, ailments, and conditions of our body and mind. So when it comes to the process of healing, it's not enough to just pray or use one practice, whether it's eating meals or taking medicine in daily life. These aspects must also be taken seriously. Then, say below, if a traveler is suffering from illness or experiencing symptoms, if a practitioner, whether a spiritual practitioner or ordinary person, truly, really encounters any kind of physical or mental suffering from illness, in order to rely on that illness to purify obstacles and perfect accumulations and forever free yourself from the mire of illness, you should cultivate your mind this way. Many of us lack this ability. We do not practice. But if we fall ill using this illness, we can purify body, speech, mind, and we can accumulate the merit of wisdom and the merit of virtue. In this way, then you will be free from the cycle of reincarnation forever, the mire of such worldly illnesses. Therefore, what we have discussed today is that we should thoughtfully and carefully cultivate our minds. All of us present here are practitioners, but if we can't make our illness part of the path, then perhaps we should feel a bit ashamed of our practice. So how should we practice? When you are sick, I'm fine. This is a superficial understanding. This really cannot cure the illness at all, nor can it solve any problem. But if we engage in deep practice with intention, then even this illness can in fact be transformed into something truly useful and beneficial on the path. If that's not the case, then people in the world could all say, illness is a good thing. Illness is a good thing. No one would say that being sick is terrible. No one would say that. But most of us in the world, perhaps at a relatively ordinary level of life, that people often talk about, so on a deeper level, the methods of practice taught in Buddhism, many people may not have encountered them in their daily lives. Buddhist tenets, are they actually correct or not? In fact, from a worldly perspective, they are correct. This correctness nor does it need to be proven by any other means. What Buddhism talks about, we all know, birth, aging. Everyone should be clear about this. Then, as for suffering, for example, such as suffering, change, and action, are these really the case in reality? The suffering with those you resent, not getting, all of these meanings do not actually need to be explained in any other way. When these points are mentioned, we think it is like that. Birth, aging, sickness, death, like this. And discussing impermanence of world, beings, the impermanence of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Isn't that the case? It truly is like this. This is not like some Western philosophical logic, going round and round, always beating around the bush. No need. Certain principles taught in Buddhism, you could say, are straightforward and direct. They have already been stated in a very, very plain manner. Don't mention definitive meanings. Using inner, outer, or secret explanations is not needed. The phenomena of our samsaric existence in Buddhism, origins, mind workings, the various structures of our body, and suffering, when it comes to these conditions, Buddhism explains them so clearly. The same principle applies. If we simply do not recognize our illness, it is indeed beneficial to our practice, life, and work. All bring fatal hazards. We simply cannot carry on. When ill, it's like a sparrow struck by a stone, completely powerless, not even wanting to move. But if you are a practitioner, even in the midst of such illness, you can perhaps turn it into a form of practice. In fact, if you didn't have this illness, you won't practice. With this illness, you actually gain a good opportunity to practice. So here it says, if you truly want to accumulate merit and purify obscurations, then you still need to practice diligently and with focus. It is divided into recognizing illness as a door to purifying obscurations through merit. This is the very first topic we discussed today. The second is understanding illness as the guru and not being negligent. Illness is guru. Illness is best guru. When you sometimes find yourself falling ill, the guru has arrived. It's really just like that. Then, recognizing illness as a companion on the path. Supportive conditions for practice. 6 paramitas. 3 aspects. In this way, we can essentially discuss it in terms of these categories. We just covered these. Illness has merit. Illness is a spiritual friend. And illness used to practice the 6 perfections in 3 categories. Among those, it mentions the first one. In this cycle of samsara, there are all kinds of truly extremely vast sufferings in this world. Everyone knows this. Let's understand the cycle of samsara. Why call illness merit? Because throughout all 6 realms of samsara, there is actually a tremendous amount of suffering. Moreover, this suffering is extremely vast. On this point, well, I think those in valleys unaware of the news may not know. If you do pay attention to the news, you'll see that every day there are all kinds of sufferings constantly emerging one after another. You could even say they erupt explosively. This is what everyone should know. So in the 400 verses on the middle way, it is also said, all people want happiness, but true happiness is hard to obtain. Although everyone is searching for happiness, happiness is indeed very rare. Therefore, for these sentient beings, all kinds of suffering seem to follow them everywhere. So, for the sentient beings that exist and live in our world today, all suffering seem to rise and fall continuously, constantly following us, so much endless suffering. The Lotus Sutra says, there is no peace in the 3 realms. It is like a burning house, replete with various sufferings, most terrifying. It says that the 3 realms are like a deep burning pit of fire, completely filled with every kind of suffering. In the midst of such suffering, there's no happiness found. And when we are ill, the suffering is even greater. I don't know if you've ever been to a hospital, but when you go to a hospital, it feels as if almost everyone in the world is sick. If foot hurts and you go to see an orthopedic doctor or maybe something, everyone has a foot problem. If you have a problem with your nose, everyone has nose issues. No matter which department you go to, it seems that everyone is sick. Among them are people like us who are involuntarily reborn due to karma. We don't want to come into this world, but we have no choice. We are involuntarily brought here by the winds of karma. When we experience moments of happiness, we never reflect on suffering of samsara. Happiness we experience seems fleeting, just a momentary joy. Whether it's personal wealth, exceptional talent, striking beauty, or high social status, at those times, it seems like we never think about the suffering of samsara, bodily suffering, and so on. We never do, nor do we practice for our own benefit, instead remaining in a state of distraction. Most people are like this when they're not sick. Many people spend their days in a state of distraction, living in a state of heedlessness, but the suffering of illness can dispel faults like heedlessness and arrogance. If you weren't sick, this wouldn't happen. Only after you get ill do you start to change. People who used to be careless now begin to apply themselves diligently, might be dying soon. If cancer is in its late stage, you could die in a month or 3 months. Or if you happen to catch an epidemic like COVID-19, if you become a severe case, you also realize that, in fact, your life might be in danger. Careless aren't careless now. And those who were arrogant are no longer arrogant. So in reality, this is a special gateway to purifying obstacles. We should view illness from this perspective. If we weren't sick, it might not serve catalyst for our spiritual practice. Because only after falling ill do we start to realize the true nature of life. Many of us, especially those who never studied Buddhism, never even think about contemplating impermanence. They never have that overwhelming sense that everything around them is falling apart or coming undone. That feeling of total collapse simply doesn't happen to them. But once you get sick, people who once had status feel that their status is useless. Those once wealthy find it meaningless. Even if you were young and energetic, it's useless when you're ill. All the wealth and glory you once possessed completely vanish. You realize now it is necessary to practice spiritually, especially for someone with faith. For someone who practices, I think getting sick is still quite good. If you don't practice, then it's best not to get sick. For such a person, falling ill means there's nothing to gain except harm. Everyone should be aware of this. For this reason, the same is said in the Enlightenment Sutra. Suffering has many profound virtues. It brings about true renunciation, and it gradually dispels arrogance as well. Enlightenment Sutra in fact, suffering in a certain sense actually has its own merits. We also mentioned this before in Transforming Suffering and Happiness, 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva. Let's study the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva this year. There are many excellent instructions in the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. I have painstakingly translated them. In that text, it is explained that suffering actually has many merits. What kind of merits? It can give rise to a sense of renunciation. It can also dispel a kind of arrogance. For example, when our body is ill and needs surgery, everyone understands this. After surgery, painful, we are still willing to still undergo the operation, right? In the same way, when our mind is sick, we encounter such illness. It is like performing surgery on our mind. Logically speaking, it may seem to us to be something harsh and unpleasant, but it brings us a certain benefit. In this way, all forms of suffering in their own unique way have their merits. So what kind of merit do they have? In the Enlightenment Sutra, it is said that there is no suffering and no liberation, so the mind should be firm. No suffering. We would never develop a sense of aversion within samsara. Once we get ill or experience suffering, you begin to develop aversion. It is by relying on this aversion to suffering that the mind of renunciation from samsara arises. So I see that perhaps for many of us, what is true renunciation? Important. Of three principal paths, renunciation, if one gives rise to renunciation, you truly attain the path to liberation. This way, because of this illness this time, I have developed my mind aversion to realms, like a burning house. And if from now on I can give rise to a courageous mind that strives toward enlightenment, this illness, meaningful, whatever we spend elsewhere, it may not cause aversion. Contemplation Sutra states, this body is the root of all suffering. Renounce and pursue enlightenment. Our body is the fundamental source of suffering. But if we diligently cultivate the mind of renunciation and the wish to be free, seeking enlightenment is not hopeless. There is still hope. So illness helps us give rise to the mind of renunciation in ourselves. And this is truly very important. If you never get sick, may never give rise to renunciation. If you never feel renunciation, since you had surgery or because you suffered a serious illness, from then you develop a sense of disillusionment with samsara, then that is actually a very good thing. Having a mind of renunciation like this, there are also many benefits, the roots of virtue. See, getting sick can actually be a good thing. If we get sick, for many of us, if you fall ill before you die, wow, you really start to see what is there to be attached to in this physical body. There's really nothing. So I must truly strive to break free from this cycle of samsara. You won't even feel any envy toward this cycle of existence. In the end, you step onto the path of liberation. We're in a reincarnation site, enduring so much pain and true hardship. But we have never attained the path to liberation. Yet, because of this illness, teacher's guidance, I have truly and genuinely begun to develop renunciation
And once you truly have renunciation, it's actually really quite remarkable indeed. Finished discussion. Especially as it is stated in many sutras and scriptures, Shakyamuni Buddha in this contentious Saha world, even just a headache can thoroughly purify the intense suffering of the Avicii hell. Many scriptures also say this. The previous vows of Sakyamuni Buddha, many bodhisattvas chose to aspire to pure lands, but Shakyamuni Buddha chose an especially impure one, this Saha world of disputes. This Saha world, on one hand, it is said to be very painful a world that is extremely hard to endure. Everyone suffers a lot here. The pain and hardship are felt by all, making daily life difficult for everyone in this place. In the summer, the heat is unbearable. In the winter, the cold is also unbearable. Sometimes you have a headache, sometimes you get altitude sickness. The roads are also bad. Things are better now. When we first came to Larong Valley, the conditions in every respect really weren't very good. At that time, it was truly the Saha world within the Saha world. Now, by comparison, it's acceptable, but it's still not good. One day it's cold, another day it's hot. I have a headache and my feet hurt today. Sometimes there's wind, sometimes all sorts of other things. There are also people, non-human beings, and fears. There are mice, cats, and dogs. There are wolves, tigers, and other such animals. There are all kinds of wild beasts and all sorts of adverse conditions. Overall, the Saha world is still worse than other pure land. Look at Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss, or Joyous Pure Land Happy. Joyful, comfortable, and pure. There's an advantage. What is the advantage here? This is a mysterious land, a land of karma. Is just a headache. If you often have headaches, then you should frequently and carefully contemplate this well. If you contemplate this, originally you would have suffered in Avicii hell, but as a result of your headache, due to the pain you are experiencing, this kind of immense hell realm suffering can also be purified through such a simple pain. The questions of Brahma Vishesa Sinti. Bodhisattvas born in this land should not harbor sorrow. Truly, even if they possess the karma of the lower realms, even a simple headache can eliminate it. Bodhisattvas born in this Saha world should not actually be sad. Why is that? Because here, in fact, sometimes, even just by having a headache, even the karma which cause rebirth in the lower realms can be purified. There is a similar teaching in entering the path of practice. So here, on one hand, it is indeed not so good to be reborn here. But on the other hand, being reborn in this world is actually very good. And also, Mifm Rinpoche said, because of the power of the Buddha's aspiration, although this world is in many ways an impure, deeply defiled and tainted realm, the suffering is also extremely severe. Compared to other places, sometimes when we generate anger, it's also very painful. Sometimes insomnia is also very painful. Sometimes not having food to eat and feeling hungry is also very painful. I see the elderly people around me. All of them have rosy, radiant faces. They seem to be not suffering at all. You eat well, you need to exercise more. Otherwise, you just keep getting fatter, and that's not good. It seems like it's still okay, not too bad. But all you bodhisattvas who possess the great aspiration to attain Buddhahood as soon as possible have been reborn here. What mean that? Although the Buddha's motivation was vast, Buddha accepted impure. So for this reason, this place is impure, messy, poor. And the suffering is intense. There are so many negative qualities, right? But what are its advantages? For many bodhisattvas who wish to achieve enlightenment more quickly, coming to this Saha world is actually the best method. It's like how in the past, some officials in inland areas wanted to get a pay raise, so they immediately went to support Tibetan region. After returning, their salaries increased dramatically. There are also some dedicated volunteers from inland areas who have come to help, who deliberately and intentionally go to Africa, go to some more secluded places to exercise. Some strong-willed bodhisattvas, unlike those with weaker resolve who definitely wouldn't dare to go, they're afraid. If you were to come to the Saha world, it would be even worse for them. But for those bodhisattvas of stronger mind, they want to improve their motivation and resolve. So they deliberately make aspirations, being reborn in hell, being reborn as hungry ghosts, to be reborn in our Saha world. Truly, here among us, if there are bodhisattvas with strong resolve, when facing suffering, when facing all kinds of disasters, an advantage for Buddhists, for ordinary people, for example, when they face suffering, including this time in many places, for example, Shanghai, Jilin, there are many things happening. Buddhists who can't go out, many people feel, this is great, I can retreat. Of course, if there's simply nothing to eat, Buddhists wouldn't be able to stand it. But generally speaking, everyone feels that this is an opportunity, it's a good thing. They approach from another perspective and start to grasp underlying principles. So here, there are some bodhisattvas who are eager to attain Buddhahood quickly, who choose to be reborn here to achieve realization later. Then after arriving here, due to the power of his aspiration, and because all supportive conditions and causes are present, achieve the perfect accumulations of great power, guiding souls, purifying realm, purification, perfection, maturation noted. Purification, perfection, and maturation discussed in Prajnaparamita teachings. How does perfect the two accumulations help many sentient beings? How can one purify their future Buddha fields? This is also a very important matter in Buddhism. On bodhisattvas, they deliberately come to this Saha world indeed. In that case, we don't need to deliberately be reborn here. We have come to this world through karma, right? Already came to this world like bodhisattvas. They go through many procedures to come here. For us, we are native-born sentient beings. Should have opportunity. Why do bodhisattvas come here? As there is illness, there is suffering. For them, such suffering is a very good resource. We are afraid of suffering, often afraid of getting sick, afraid of all sorts of things. This is a big difference. So when we get sick, it's actually, in fact, not necessarily a bad thing at all. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, Vimalakirti is sick all the time. Bodhisattvas and arhats from all the worlds and the 10 directions all come to visit him. They ask, how is your illness? Layman Vimalakirti is very powerful. He would share some key teachings with each and every person and then scare them all away, as everyone knows. All sentient beings are ill, so I am ill. If all beings' illnesses are cured, so is mine. This is the great compassion of the Bodhisattva and so on. I remember this. Many are familiar with this. We can be like a layman Vimalakirti as well. When we are sick and other Dharma friends come, to each visitor, if you share lessons that help, that would be a very good thing. In this Saha world, there are actually many truly positive and indeed beneficial conditions. What I just said. In the Sutra Brahma King, endure the unendurable during trials, and to teach others this dharmata merit is supreme. In this Saha world, it is indeed possible, even though it may seem difficult, to endure what seems unendurable. If we share such key teachings with others, if one also practices like this, best approach, we see the world as bad, but even what's not good has its own advantages in its own way. For example, it's very difficult to seek the Dharma here, and everyone has a hard time, right? Whether it's cooking for ourselves at home or dealing with life, it's tough. But in fact, this is also a kind of a benefit. Every situation we think is bad has a good side to it. And what we think is good actually has a bad side as well. All should know this. Worldly people don't know. They think good is good and bad is bad. That's their perspective. But for practitioners, some see money as good. Actually, having money is also quite good. With money, you can buy many things. But having money can also lead to arrogance, corruption, and so on. Many think not having money is bad, but if it's bad, in one sense, it can give rise to renunciation. Because of not having money, there's no arrogance and so forth. Everything has two sides. both the positive and the negative, each one always present. As practitioners, we should indeed understand this, making suffering and happiness alike. So here it is said that these bodhisattvas come to this world. The reason is also like this. Came here specifically to train. Deliberately come here to temper themselves. Why is illness actually considered a good thing? Because bodhisattvas can appear ill. In the past, many great masters and accomplished teachers truly spent a lot of time in hospitals. For example, Mipham Rinpoche and many other great masters in the past, as you can see in their biographies, they often appeared to be in poor health and unwell. Mipham Rinpoche once said, "I am truly a great bodhisattva. Near my parinirvana, arriving here, I could have helped many beings, but because of my physical illness, certainly, and also the reason why sentient beings lack merit, I was not able to accomplish what I had initially intended, nor fulfill the aspirations I had imagined for benefiting sentient beings." Examining the lives of eminent monks and masters, in fact, many of them displayed such appearances. Some may be here on purpose, through this disease, through this pain, to demonstrate the aims of their altruistic motivation. This is in fact also the case. Therefore, this time, relying on my own illness, I will certainly be able to purify the many negative karmas accumulated in the past. So every time we fall ill, we should try our best to think in this way. Oh, now that I am sick this time, I will definitely be able to eliminate the karmic obstacles accumulated since beginningless time. Even with a headache, I can think this way. Whether it's IV drip, injections, or surgery. Even during surgery, we should think, because during surgery, a piece of tissue is removed. So when something is cut out, we should pause and think, I am truly making an offering of my own body. We should recite mantras. I often myself, anyway, every time I have a major or minor surgery, unknown happening, because of the anesthesia, I'm not aware of it, but beforehand I recite with care and intention a ritual text. And afterwards, awake from anesthesia, I dedicate merit. Sonondei tanjare banye. This is actually very good, truly like this. Sometimes, maybe none of us want to think, need surgery, feel like a failure, why? Others healthy, why am I like this? But in reality, if we treat it as a kind of this is an opportunity for physical dana. Since beginningless time in the cycle of samsara, I've lost body often. I've never practiced generosity. So this time, through this, just like when Shakyamuni Buddha in his previous lives offered his own flesh and blood to 5 Rakshasas, they became the 5 bhikshus. We are also offering our flesh and blood, which neither the doctors nor the nurses want, but many spirits and non-human beings will definitely accept it. So if we dedicate it in this way, because of this, it may purify my future motivation, reduce obstacles, and bring other benefits. So what we need to learn this time is to rely on illness and surely purify the negative karma I have accumulated in the past. In the past, since beginningless time, over countless ages, there must have been a great deal of unwholesome or impure karma, but this is definitely purifying. So we should rejoice. This kind of rejoicing isn't about feeling happy in a superficial way. It's not like that. If we think this through and truly internalize this principle, it really is the case. By properly contemplating with care the source of the illness and the merit after illness, we understand illness. After studying the utilization of suffering and happiness, many feel in the future, whether we encounter suffering or happiness, we will remain calm. I'll figure it out myself. This is actually very important in life. Generally speaking, in school and in various worldly training programs, which are commonly found in many places, we might not receive instructions. So I think that as we look toward the future, if we ever happen to fall ill or experience sickness, we should try to maintain a sense of joy. I have some good news. Why is that? This time, after being examined in the hospital, I was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. In this case, you can even tell others if you want to, or let them know. Today, the doctor said I got a critical condition notice. Then Dharma friends, rejoice. You have a great opportunity. Hope to have it next time. Of course, this is something that people with stronger minds and better practice can do. But if you really think about it, maybe in our countless past lives, things we couldn't accomplish in ordinary times might be accomplished in the short span of an illness. Everyone here should really, truly think about this very carefully indeed. If you fall ill, there is merit in it. Everyone must remember this very deeply. All right? That's just all for today.
Sodargye Badna Sodargye Badna Sodargye Badna Sodargye